Inbox searching activated.
Ooh, taxi.
Episode 8. I am in the process of building up this playfield. Got the trough all done. Looks good. Ball guides are in. Rubbers are in. Next steps, I got to polish. One thing I'll point out. So these came out really good. You can see what they looked like before. I don't know if you can see that, but not nearly as shiny. And what I've discovered is a cotton wheel and then this stuff. So this I found on Amazon. It got really good reviews. It's Renegade, and it is the Competition Purple. And this is like an all-purpose metal polish. It comes in a big block like this. And that combined with a cotton wheel does a really good job on chromed pieces. So I gotta finish doing those. You can see, so like this was the original ball guide, and I got it all shined up. It looks good. Or not ball guide, gate, whatever this thing's called. So we are going to proceed with continuing to build up this playfield. A couple other little custom things I'll point out that you'll see in a bit. So I had my buddy, Chris, who is Mr. Tantrum on Pinside, cut me out some plastic protectors. So we went with translucent blue. I don't know if y'all can see that or not. Once it's on, not only does it thicken up the plastic and protect it from getting scratched on the bottom and stuff, but it also should give us a little bit of a translucent glow effect on the bottom. And then we did blue everywhere except for these, we did yellow. And then the taxi over there is yellow. And then the stoplight, we just did clear. So what I did for these are CPR plastics that I ordered. And then I riveted on, I took the rivets out of the old pieces and riveted on the bracket. So it's all good to go. Same process I had showed you guys before with the riveting. Pretty easy, pretty straightforward. Here's another one that I did. This one has 2 little posts on it. So the post screws actually help to hold the protector in. Here's another one. So I think these will be pretty cool when they're on. We'll see. So yeah, I'm gonna keep going on this and give you another update in a minute. Just gonna start on the refinish of the apron. Here's the original. It's in actually good shape, but I want to do some custom things to it, so I'm going to take all this off. So this is what I use to prime my metal parts, aprons and stuff. It's just, you can get this at Home Depot or Lowe's or whatever. And it works pretty good. This is still wet, so it looks uneven, but it'll dry nice and flat and covers well. And it etches into the metal, so it puts a nice little base for your next coat. And it dries really quick. I mean, this will be ready to paint again with the top coat in about. So I decided to powder coat the apron. I tried to paint it several times and it kept wrinkling or having debris in it. So I just took it to my powder coater and we got the apron and the shooter gauge powder coated. So I'm gonna apply the decals that we have for that. I'm gonna try a new process for this. These are UV fixed graphics. So my buddy Chris, Mr. Tantrum on Pinside, we designed these and he sent them off to a guy that does this print. And so it's almost like a decal, but they're thinner than decals. And then we got them printed in a sheet like this. So I've got this and it's an adhesive back and you just peel that off and it goes right over the thing here. So we'll see what that looks like. So that worked pretty well. You can see it's pretty flat actually. It's not much of a, there's a little bit of a step up to the actual art, but otherwise it looks pretty good. Much lower profile than a regular decal would be. And this is obviously custom art. This isn't the original. We did a custom touch for this to match the taxi motif. So let's do the apron. All right, here's the apron done. So, what did I learn? So this stuff it looks great. It's super low profile, but going along with that, number one, it's very sticky. So you do not have any room to move it around. The other side of it is that it's thin, which is good, but it also rips really easily. So like this the F in Flipper, that little middle hash for the F came off when I was putting it on. It just ripped off. So what I had to do was get another another F and cut that little cross piece off and put that in by hand with a tiny piece of tweezers. So that was kind of a pain in the butt. But the rest of it looks good, so I'm happy with it. Here's the shooter gauge. So I think it'll look great on the game. Coin door rebuilt, and it took 2 hours. And the reason it took 2 hours is I forgot when I powder coated this coin door originally, this surround disintegrated with the sandblasting for the powder coating. And I don't know if it was because it was a little rusty or they were just too aggressive with it or what, but there was a big chunk out of the bottom piece. So what I did was I got another, oh, don't get stuck, another one, and I don't know if this is specific to taxi, but the screw holes on the original are about 8 millimeters higher than the screw holes on every other one I could find. So what I had to do was re-drill the holes for this, and that was not easy to get those correct, but it's on there now. Door opens well. Here's the back side. I got to hook up all the guts in there, but otherwise we should be in pretty good shape here. Rails are also on. I'm using some Bright Mods lit buttons. So that's a little kit. It comes with an LED ring that fits inside and then gets wired into the rest of the GI that way. The rails came out good. I like the black. Only bad news, and this is my fault. When I pulled, these are the original rails, and when I pulled them, I had a little kick out here, which I don't know if you can see that or not, but there's a little pooch right there, and there's another one. You can see that one better right there. So it's kind of a bummer that I didn't recognize that when I pulled them and hammer this flat before powder coating, because now if I try and hammer it flat, I think it's going to break and crack the powder coat. So what I may do, it won't matter when the game's in my collection because it's going to be in a lineup and no one's going to see that, right? Because it's going to be right next to another game. But for TPF, I don't know if it's going to bug me enough to fix that or not. I'm going to get it together. TPF's not for another 6 or 7 months. So maybe if I make another order and I get another set of rails and I have another powder coat order, maybe I'll get another new set powder coated and see if I can replace these, but I don't know, we'll see. They're already double-sided taped down. So the problem is that 3M tape's pretty powerful stuff, and I'm a little concerned if I try and pull them, I could pull some of the decal loose, which I really don't want to do. I mean, the tape is running like up here. So even if I pulled a little bit of the decal up, it would still have plenty under the rail. But I just don't really like to take that risk. So anyhow, next steps are to finish the wiring on the cabinet here. And I've ordered the displays. So those are going to come in. I've got all new displays coming in that I've got to build. Oh, I can show you the custom display surround that we made. Again, this was my buddy Chris, aka Mr. Tantrum on Pinside. But so we did a little different. The original is yellow for all of these little inserts, and the Joyride score is in yellow. And then this is a Williams logo, I think, across the top or something. And I thought there was enough Williams on this game already. So we came up with this, scanned in the original, changed things around, and then Chris has a buddy in Australia that can print this stuff and apply it to the correct, it's just dusty, to the correct thickness plastic, and it came out great. Update on playfield status. I'm in the process of building up the playfield. You can see that I have moved it off of the rotisserie. There's the table for the rotisserie. And I put the back board pieces on. I need to screw these in and get them in their correct spots. That's next. I put this backboard on. We're thinking about making a little graphic to go right here, a little decal graphic. So I don't know, we're gonna see. I gotta see once I get the ramps on, like how much that's really visible, because it may be a waste of time. I got the little hangers on down here. So now this can sit here and I can build the rest of it up and get it to where it's ready to go back onto the game. And then I like to do most of it on this because I just have way more access. And it's easier on my back than, bending over a cabinet trying to see what the heck's going on. So I'm going to get this built up, and then we'll get it over into the cabinet. Quick little documentation. If you're going to do a taxi here, okay, these two have to be correct. That one is a 3-inch smooth round riser. And then this is a 1 3/4 inch hex. Okay. And over here is a 3 1/8 inch hex. So I got this one incorrect and it was way too high, and I had to figure out I had put it over in the far corner by mistake. So just documenting, if you're doing a taxi, there you go. Okay, playfield update. It's almost done. I've got everything on here. A couple of things we're going to do. I've got a new sticker for this. I pulled this sticker off, this yellow sticker. It's a huge yellow sticker that's there, and it says spell cab to advance bonus X or something. And I just think that's a huge amount of space right in the middle of the game to communicate not much important information. So we're going to make some custom stickers for that. And then I got the ramps on, obviously. We're going to make a little decal for the back, some kind of a New York skyline or something like that. You can see my little protectors are on. That went okay. You do have to, I had to make some adjustments a little bit here and there where there were posts, like right here, because with the protector on, it would sit too high off the post and you wouldn't have enough thread. So I basically had to Dremel out the hole to have it to where it'll sit on top of the hex part of the head. What else? It's kind of it. There was a little bit of futzing over here just because the holes on this playfield for the rails were just like a millimeter different than the original. And so this hole I had to just kind of push over just a little bit and really kind of torque on this guy a bit on this post to get it to line up correctly and go in. But otherwise, it's pretty much together. A little bit of soldering to do on the back side with a couple of connections. And I'm going to try and get it over into the cabinet maybe tonight or tomorrow. The cabinet is over there. I got the switches in it. I got to do some soldering, and I'm currently working on just restoring this little speaker panel. So all I do for this is take some regular acrylic black paint and paint in the area that's going to be visible, and then I take some acrylic red paint and paint the W's by hand. And then I'm going to take the speakers off the back and just shoot a quick coat of gloss clear on that just to seal them in and make it look nice. And then the overlay will sit over top of that. I got my displays ordered. I've got the displays out of it. So we'll get the displays done and then we'll keep going. All right, I'm going to make this display. This is a kit that comes from Wolfpack Tech. It's wolfpacktech.com. They're not that expensive. This entire kit, I think, was $200. And that comes with the main display and this one, which is for the bonus on the back glass. So, comes with all the parts you need. Everything is here. Your instructions are online. So what you have to do is go to, it tells you where to go here. Yeah. You just go to this website and download the instructions, and then you can use them on your phone. They're pretty straightforward. Just get yourself a decent soldering iron. This is one that I got off Amazon on sale for like $50. You can see, I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's set at 625, which is what I usually use for circuit board work. You'll need a decent pair of wire cutters, some solder, and you go to work. So I'll get started and I'll be back. So I put in all the microchips according to the instructions in their correct spots. Two things to just be careful of here if you're building one of these. Number one is there's a little cutout piece here. It's not as easy to see on this one. You can see it easier on that guy. See that little ditzel there on the top? So there's on the board, if you look underneath, I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's a drawing there, and it shows which way that little cutout piece goes, and you have to get that correct or this will not work. These are a little bit different manufacturer, so the ditzel's not as obvious, but there's a little dimple in the top of the chip on the left-hand side that does that. So just make sure that all of these are oriented correctly. The other thing you have to do is watch out that you don't bend the legs. Sometimes, these actually went in pretty easy, but sometimes you have to bend the legs just a little to get them to fit in the holes. So just make sure that those are all in there and you don't bend any legs and they're all solid. Then all you do is you flip this over, solder in each of the pins, and I'm going to do that now. Show you an example of how not to do this. You can see there's a bridge across those two pins. That bridge happened because I put my soldering iron on the inside of the pin close to the other side that was already soldered, and it pulled solder across. So the trick is when you're soldering, solder on the outside, and I just got lazy and did that. So now what I'm going to do is I'll use my solder sucker, which is right there, and I'm just going to heat that, suck that solder out, and fix it. Okay, so here we are. Here we are after soldering. I don't claim to be an expert solderer. I consider myself adequate. Looks like there might be a little bit needed right there. I may have missed that one. I'm gonna put some more right there. Let's see if I can zoom in. That guy right there, you can see right in the middle, needs more. So does the one next to it. Anyhow, we do have someone who watches the channel who's been trained in soldering, so he'll probably give me some tips. But anyhow, it works, it's functional. So I'm going to move on to the next step. Resistors are pretty straightforward. They don't have polarity. You just make sure based on the code on the different bands there that it's the right one. Good news is with this guy, they're all the same. So I've just taken a bunch of them, bend them into a U shape like that, and then you're going to put them in to their slot, and then you bend them outward slightly just to hold them. But I've got to do all of these. So I'll be right back. This is what they look like when they're ready to solder in. So I put the pins in, and you can see I've bent them backwards so they just hold. And I'm just going to go solder each one in. All right, so I'm to the point where I'm soldering in the connectors. And I just want to point out that these need to go in exactly at a right angle or they're not going to connect correctly. So the best way to do that is to, I'll use this to point. So you can see right here, I've soldered in one pin. And what you're going to do then is take it and put your finger away from the one that's where you soldered. Heat that solder and you can move this guy back and forth to get it to where it's in the correct position. And now it's held there and you can solder the other ones in. When you're installing these, number one, you want to make sure they get nice and flush. And number two, they go with the little comma to the bottom of the board. Gotta make sure you get them in correctly. So what I do is put these in, and I'll get about 8 or so of them in here, and I'm gonna flip it over, and I'll solder one pin into each one, make sure they're flush, and then solder a second pin in, and then that way you can get them all set. So I'll show you what that looks like. All right, so one pin on each display, and then you're gonna flip it over and make sure that they're all flat and flush. And then what I'll do is go in and solder in, let's see where I'm at. Solder in like this pin here on each one, so that you have one on each corner. Check it again and make sure. What you don't want to do is start soldering everything in and realize that one of them's wrong, and then you have to desolder everything because it's a big pain. All right, so there's one pin on either side that's been soldered in. You can just check, make sure they're all nice and straight. They're all in there correctly. All your commas are at the bottom, and they are. And now you can go in and solder in each pin. Here is the completed display. And I also built the slave display for the bonus. So I just got to peel these little things off, and then it comes with these little light baffle thingies that go on top. So I'm going to install those. And here we are. Everything works in the display test. Hooray! They actually look really good. I'm really happy with that. And there's your other one there. Fantastic, new displays. We have a track mode. Ta-da!